All right, let's talk about something big that's happening in Turkey. A major change is on the way for how money moves around the country. A new regulation is coming, and trust me, if you ever handle large sums of money for your business, for a big purchase, this is something you're going to want to know about. So let's get right into it.
Think about it for a second. Are you planning on selling your car anytime soon? Or maybe buying a house? What if your business is about to land a huge contract? These are all exciting, major life moments, and they all have one thing in common. A big chunk of money is changing hands.
Well, if any of that is on your radar, you need to listen up. The basic rules for how you complete that kind of transaction are about to get a major overhaul, and it's all kicking off in 2026.
So, what's the deal with this new rule? I mean, what is it exactly? Let's break down the nuts and bolts of what this regulation actually means for you and your money. Okay, this is the magic number you need to remember. 200,000 Turkish lira. From 2026, this number is the new threshold. Any transaction that goes over this amount is going to require an extra step.
Now, the official, fancy name for this is MASAK Communiqué No. 30. And MASAK, well, that's Turkey's Financial Crimes Investigation Board. But let's put it simply. This new rule just means you have to state the reason for any transaction over that 200,000 lira limit. The whole idea is to make the financial system more transparent.
And when does all this start? Right now, it's a draft that's being reviewed. But the plan is for it to be finalized and go into effect on January 1st, 2026. So we've all got a bit of time to get ready for this new way of doing things. Now you're probably asking, okay, but why? Why this change and why now? It's a fair question. Let's dive into the key reasons behind this pretty significant shift in policy. The reasons are actually pretty serious. Domestically, the main goals are to fight back against the informal economy, the under-the-table stuff, and to stop financial crimes like money laundering and the financing of terrorism. But it's also about the bigger picture. Getting Turkey's rules in line with global standards set by the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF.
So here's the bottom line. We're shifting from a system that just blindly processes a transaction to one that asks, why? By understanding the purpose behind these large money movements, the thinking is that the whole financial world becomes safer and more transparent for everyone involved.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the part you've been waiting for. How will this actually work for you in the real world? Let's walk through your new, practical guide for making a transaction.
The good news is they've tiered the requirements, so it depends on the amount. For transfers between 200,000 and 2 million lira, it's pretty simple. You just have to state the reason. Go above 2 million, and you'll need to fill out a specific MASAK form. And for the really big ones, over 20 million lira, you'll need the form, a detailed explanation, and documents to prove it, like a sales contract.
So what does stating the reason even look like? Well, when you go to make a transfer, whether it's online or at the bank, you'll see a menu of options. You'll just need to pick the one that fits your situation. Is it for buying a house, paying off a loan, or maybe even a crypto transaction? You just select the category. But what if your transaction is a little unique? What if it doesn't fit into any of those neat little boxes? If you select Other, you can't just leave it at that. You'll have to type in a description of what you're doing, and it has to be at least 20 characters long. No more vague one-word answers. Now, these new rules aren't just for digital transfers. They also apply to those big cash transactions you do in person, right at the bank counter. So what do you have to declare in that case? If you're depositing a large amount of cash, you're now going to have to declare where it came from. This is a real move toward accountability. You'll see a menu with options like business profits, income from selling property, or maybe inheritance. That old question, where did all this cash come from, now has a formal, required answer. With all these new rules coming in, it's just as important to know what isn't covered. So let's take a look at the transactions that are actually exempt from all this. And here's some good news. You won't have to declare anything when you're just shifting money between your own accounts at the same bank. Same deal for payments to public institutions, like the tax office, and of course, big transactions between the banks themselves and any ATM activity under that 200,000 lira limit are also in the clear.
We're getting close to the end, so let's wrap this all up with the most important stuff you need to take away. We'll cover the key risks, the potential consequences, and answer a couple of really common questions.
Think of this as your personal compliance checklist. First, And this is huge. No declaration, no transaction. The bank just won't do it. Second, don't even think about putting down false information, because that can lead to some serious fines. Third, remember that those forms for the bigger amounts are legal documents. And finally, this is a wake-up call to keep good records. You might need an invoice or contract to prove where the money came from.
I know what some of you are thinking right now. Can I just send 199,000 lira and, fly right under the radar? It's a natural question. But believe me, the regulators have thought about this one.
And the answer is you have to be really careful. This is a practice known as smurfing, and the system is designed to catch it. If you make several related transfers in a short period of time, the system can flag them, add them all up, and if they go over the 200,000 lira limit combined, you'll have to make the declaration anyway.
So let's get practical again. What is this going to look like on the screen you use every day? How is your mobile banking app or your internet banking experience going to change?
The process should be integrated pretty smoothly into your banking app. When you set up a large transfer, a new screen or a pop-up menu will just appear, asking you to select the reason. To make it official, some banks might add an extra security step, like sending you an SMS code to confirm.
And really, that brings us to the final big question. Is this new regulation a necessary step toward building a safer, more transparent economy for everyone? Or does it kick off a whole new era of financial scrutiny for the average person? The answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. But one thing is for sure. The way we all think about moving money in Turkey is about to change for good. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.